Hey guys, today we're going to take you step by step using my methods on how to install a Minn Kota Maxxum on the front of this tiller boat. In that installation instructions, it'll give you a list of tools and resources you're going to need to complete the installation, and I'll read those off to you. You need 2 half-inch wrenches, you need a 9/32 drill bit, you need a second person to help you with the installation, you need a standard or needle nose pliers, file or sandpaper, a handsaw, and a 3/8 inch nut driver. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to install the breakaway bow assembly to the mount. So I'm going to open up the top one. I'm going to just prop up this lower one with just a block of wood. You'll notice this rope here. This rope has to go on the bottom side when the installation is complete. So when you go to stow or deploy it, it'll pull this pin back, this locking pin back. Pull the spring clip out, remove the pin, and we're going to go ahead and mount it to this lower bracket. Okay, the pin is in place now. That spring clip we just took out, we need to put back into that hole. That's where your needle nose pliers comes into play. Now with that spring pin installed, we're going to put the rope in between the pin and the motor assembly, and then we're going to feed it up through this other hole on the top that has the grommet on it. And that'll allow us, when we pull on the rope, it'll pull the locking pin back. Now with that done, I need to remove the 1/2 inch nuts on this top pin. You notice it's a nylock and a washer. I'm going to slide that out, and there's bushings in here. We want to make sure those stay in place. If you do lose them, if they do drop out, you need to put them back in. Line up the holes and drive the pin back through. Reinstall the washer and nylock we removed before. Snug everything up. Now we'll go ahead and put the motor in the stowed position. So after throwing the motor up on the bow of the boat, we're just going to size things up and make sure everything is where we want it to be. We got the head of the trolling motor inside the gunnel. Okay, we're avoiding our bow roller when the boat comes off the trailer. We also have the motor ramp that we want extended past the gunnel. And what that does is when you're stowing the motor, the lower unit is going to hit this ramp, turn it, and then bring it up so the lower unit isn't smashing into the boat itself. So this is kind of right where I want it. The one thing I'm going to do that I always do before I drill any holes is there's a tie-down strap in here. And it never fails. If I don't put it on now, I'll forget about it. So I'm going to put it on now, strap it down. And I like to have the buckle end to the outside of the boat. And if you don't do it, when you're fishing, you got the strap hanging out outside of the boat. So I put that in there, and there's a hem on this strap. And I like to put the hem right up to the base of the trolling motor. And in the manual, it'll tell you to put the strap between the first set of mounting holes and the second set of mounting holes. So that's where it's at right now. Also in the manual, it'll tell you you need a minimum of 4 bolts to mount it, which you'll get easily on this one. The other 2 bolts are way out here, which puts us kind of right over the rub rail, so we're not going to be able to utilize those. I'm also going to check to make sure I don't have any obstructions underneath the bolt, wire harnesses, other fasteners or supports, which it's all clear. So everything sizes up nice. We're going to go ahead and mount 4 of these holes by hitting them with a long drill bit. Okay, our holes are drilled. We're going to open up the mounting hardware pack and insert our bolts. Okay, our fasteners are all long enough. Now we're going to take 4 fender washers and 4 nylocks. And because we have stainless on stainless, I like to put a little anti-seize on there just to prevent any gulling of the nut to the bolt. Basically, the gulling, it'll seize up, and the only way to get it off is to break it. So to prevent that, I'm just going to fill these nylocks up with some anti-seize. Now I'll grab a fender washer and start finger tight. I'll start each one of these and just get them finger tight. Now that we have everything tightened up by hand, we're going to go ahead and use our impact and finish the job. So we got the trolling motor securely fastened to the front of the boat, our straps in place. The next step I like to do is put our stabilizing arm on the top side of the hinge bracket. And what that does, you'll see there's a little bit of bounce in here. So if you're going over rough water, you're going to find stresses that are going to happen both in the boat and the trolling motor, and this arm just kind of keeps everything in place and keeps it from bouncing. So ideally what you want to do, you'll notice there's a mounting hole on the bottom side of here. At that point, you're going to measure to the gunnel of the boat. And I got 3 1/4 inches, and then we're going to add another 3/4. So we're going to cut this stabilizing arm off at 4 inches. So from the center of the mounting arm, where our hole is, we're going to hook on there and we're going to mark 4 inches. You can cut this a number of ways. You can use a hacksaw. What I like to use is a power miter saw. It just works well for me. If you don't have anything like that, just a standard hacksaw will work as well. What I like to do now is I'll partially deploy the motor and then just put a block in there just to hold it up where I want it to. This is where if you do have a helping hand, they could just hold it up there for you. Now, if you are doing it this way by yourself, it's important to make sure this is held up here securely, because as you can see, there's a pretty good pinch point here where if this would accidentally come down on your hand, it's gonna inflict an injury. So make sure that you prop it up good or you have a helping hand do it. So we got that fastened there, rubber bumper on the bottom, and that's done. The next step on this Minn Kota Maxxum is to put the prop on. To do that, you're gonna simply loosen up the nylock and remove it, saving it for later. There's a red washer in here. You can discard that. That's just a shipping washer. The stainless one we're going to keep. And there's also another shipping block on there. We'll remove that and discard that as well. You'll notice the drive pin on the shaft, on the prop shaft, and the back of the prop is notched to fit over that drive pin. We'll slide it on. Give it a little knock, get it engaged. We'll reinstall the stainless washer. We'll put a little anti-seize on the threads of the prop shaft and then start the nut. We'll finger tight that, and then we'll take a 1/2 inch nut driver and you'll feel it bottom out. Right there is as tight as you want to go, and now your prop's installed. Another step in the installation process is to put the actual pull handle on the rope. So this was in a bag along with a little stainless steel washer. So it's simply just inserting the rope through the bottom of the handle, then the washer, and then just tying 2 overhand knots on top of each other ideally. And I'll just take a pliers and make sure they're good and tight. Now your handle's done. So every Minn Kota trolling motor out of the box on the power leads comes with 2 ring tongue terminals for like a direct connect to a battery. In this particular boat, there's already a receptacle. The plugs for trolling motors are not trolling motor specific, they're boat specific. So this one is a 4-prong plug, which is this configuration right here. So our power's done, everything's mounted securely. This boat's a wrap. We're gonna strap it up and send it down the road.